Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today with my final impressions on the Fallout 76 beta. It has just concluded our last session with the game until its launch, and I want to give my thoughts on the overall experience as it's developed, considering I've done thoughts on the game with the Greenbrier event, my straightforward opinion when we first started the beta and I got to play in the solitude of my own home. After that, it was an impassioned rant in my computer chair, and now here we are 25-ish hours in, and I want to talk about how I feel about the game heading into launch. Some may wonder why I keep doing my impressions. I think it's a unique opportunity for my audience who's really invested in my thoughts on the game to see how they develop from the pre-release, the cautious optimism, being skeptical, to now here we are 25 hours in. You can see all of that progress in the channel's life, and I think that's really cool and an opportunity that not a lot of creators get to do, especially with a game like this that's live and develops over time. So I feel like returning and doing impressions is really important. Anyway, I'm not going to hit on a lot of points that I've hit on in the past to make sure I'm not rehashing the same discussion. Let's start off with the technical stuff. I've played on a base PS4 for most of my beta experience, aside from the days that were exclusive to the Xbox One. So I got to about level 15 on the Xbox and then level 21 on the PlayStation 4. Technically, the game ran better with each time the beta had dropped. Just remember, I played at the Greenbrier and that was a awful build in comparison at this point in time, and we knew it was bad in the first place because the thing was dropping frames left and right, and the game still does struggle a little bit with performance, but it has become better. Now, when there is chaos on the screen, things are blowing up, lots of enemies, and sometimes just certain areas don't work as well as others, the game requires more performance work. And the reason I want to hit this right off the bat is hopefully Bethesda is listening and they understand some of the primary issues. I've talked about storytelling in the past, had a whole video focused on that, but technically this game needs work. It's just not acceptable in this day and age as a AAA developer who's got a lot of money and can invest in these products to have the game constantly dropping below, on the console, 30 FPS. It should be locked in, nice and tight, despite anything going on screen. In my last beta sessions, I spent more time with the main story, and I actually found myself starting to become more involved in the universe of Fallout 76 than I had ever been, because it started to explain the Scorched, the purpose of the responders, and I found myself becoming much more invested in the lore there. I also visited the Vault-Tec University, which was the first Vault experiment I got to have a taste of in Fallout 76, and vaults are so special, of course, to Fallout. It's one of the key concepts of the entire universe. When I visited Vault 94, I felt like a bit of that was stripped away from me because I couldn't enter right away, likely due to story reasons, but going to Vault-Tec University really filled that void, and it is now my favorite area in the game thus far. I thought there was an interesting story there as I pieced together all the terminal logs, and I found some environmental storytelling bits. Some really grim things happen here in natural Vault-Tec fashion, and also having a school built around that really roped me in a unique way. Like I said, these last couple of beta sessions have managed to pull me into the universe. I also really respect the density of Bethesda's map, because there was one session that I spent in the top right corner of the map, just a little sliver. The full 2-hour session was just right there. The game really hits you with a lot of content fast, which is great for longevity. I do wonder how long this game is going to last, because I feel like once you finish that initial playthrough, Bethesda either A, needs to have content ready for us, or B, there has to be some PvP options, something to keep players coming back, because I feel like re-exploring the world again just won't work. Fallout has a unique charm, but Fallout 76 is something completely different. So endgame content is going to be another focus of this impressions video, because right now I've enjoyed what I've played. A lot of people mistake me for loving the game because I have complimented it. It's really strange with Fallout 76. You can't just be in the middle on it like I personally am, which is like, hey, it's fun, but we got a lot to work on with storytelling and performance issues here. Myself and a bunch of YouTubers always talk about that together. But anyways, getting a little bit off track here. As you can tell, much more appreciation for what was there content wise and what was there lore wise, but sometimes these quests just were so fetch questy, for a lack of better terminology, just sending me to kill 5 things or collect X amount of things. I mean, these just lacked creativity. There is so much you can do with the Fallout universe, and especially so much opportunity when having a team with you, that instead of making you use your teammates that are with you to do something unique, they instead try to just throw waves of enemies at you at times. And it doesn't feel like they're trying to dig deeper and say like, hey, we have this cool concept, it's Fallout, it's online, we're going all in on this online vision, let's make some online focused content that really we couldn't do with previous Fallout games. In many ways, it feels like, as I mentioned before, Fallout 4 online, which I also don't think is a horrible thing. I enjoyed Fallout, but I feel like there could be this extra layer to the game that separates it from so many others, despite just being a Fallout title, which I don't take for granted. But I think that there is a way for Bethesda to go in on something for fans to make content stand out and not just be waiting in an area, killing 5 waves of enemies or something along those lines. Overall though, after all this time with the game, I've noticed there's a bit of inconsistency with the game, because there will be sessions that I have that are so much fun, and there are sessions that I'm like really bored. And I think that's because some areas are just so much more superior than others. Like I said, Vault-Tec University was great. Morgantown Airport, fantastic story area. I really like that location too. There's so much to learn about the game world there. But then there are some that you just encounter that are lifeless. There's nothing going on. There's no enemies. There's hardly any loot. It's just a location. It's like, why is this even here? It becomes quantity over quality at times, and that can really disrupt the pacing of the game, where we have a title that has its strengths, but it also succumbs to its weaknesses far too often, which once again, I see quite often when I get your guys' feedback on Twitter in the comments. It's usually, this game is fun, but sometimes it just feels like something's missing, and I think that's it. I think a lot of times these locations just fall flat, or sometimes the quests don't have that extra layer of creativity to be like, you know what, this may not be the actual Fallout, it is something new, but hey, this is fun and different. Now, I will say that I've definitely enjoyed my time playing with a team overall way more. I mean, my initial impressions of the game in the first 3 hours kind of echo that, even to this very point in the title, that this is a game that is designed for online with friends. It's much easier to get through the world. The interaction is fun. The crazy encounters can be fun. Exploring a Bethesda Game Studios world is something a lot of us have wanted for a while, and that in its very own concept is exciting enough for a lot of people. One thing that I did hone in on though while exploring a lot of these areas is the lacking of unique weapons and armor. And I'm talking like Skyrim level, where you find the chill rend, Wabbajack, you know, these weapons that are so different from anything else in the game. And I remember having this eureka moment thinking of Fallout 76 one night and going, oh my gosh, Bethesda Game Studios could go wild with unique weapons and armor. And it's as simple as this. If people think of PvP, just ban them from the PvP modes, keep the base weapons and armor, but go crazy with the fun, unique weapons and armor that Bethesda Game Studios has done in the past. And I was really upset to find out that they're leaning more on the legendary system for Fallout 4, which I thought kind of watered down the unique weapons and armor, because they'd always load up your inventory and it would give you a ton of legendary items, which in this game there's a little more excitement, but it's because you're not getting any unique, so the only thing worth getting excited over is those legendary items. I mean, maybe it's because I'm a content creator, right? Because I love talking about these unique weapons and armor, showing people how to get them, seeing the cool experiments folks do with them and how they tie them together with their builds. I think that works for everybody, but personally, I was really upset on the lacking of that, because then you notice how there's like a little loading symbol sometimes for loot, and it clearly says like a lot of this world is randomly generated when it comes to loot, so it feels like what you're getting isn't significant to you, and that kind of disrupts the experience at times for me. But as you can see, I've gone back and forth, some good, some bad, some good, some bad. I am very much heading into launch in the middle of the road here. I like what I played. I'm going to see it through. I'm looking forward to launch, so don't get me wrong, I'm not a hater of this game, but I'm not falling out of my seat overjoyed with it. I definitely am looking more forward to currently Red Dead Online, because I have been obsessed with Red Dead Redemption 2, so an online expansion for that. I'm probably going to deviate my content between those two titles right there, because that's what I've really been enjoying. Fallout 76 is good for what it is, but most people have had a chance to put some time into it and complete their opinion on the title. It's a fun time, don't buy it if you're by yourself. And naturally, once I complete the full story, I explore every corner of this pretty big map, and I will have my full review for all of you wonderful people. But before that, you'll see lots of guides, walkthroughs, news coverage, you know, the typical Bethesda Game Studios coverage that this channel's pretty well known for. So those are just my final impressions after the beta. It may seem a little off the wall, ranty / discussion focused rather than a hardcore impressions video, but I've done so many of these, we gotta switch it up a little bit, right? So I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think in the comments down below about this game, and I'll catch you next time. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook. Those links are in the description down below, along with my Patreon. Do consider supporting that, as it fuels all the content I create here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.